Hola, culés! Barcelona won again today, and we're in a different area, but we're going to film another post-game because we're going to talk about this Barcelona match versus Osasuna. Now, it could have been difficult, right? We know these guys don't have a lot of rest. They have a lot going on right now, and that puts a lot of pressure on them, but today it just didn't really feel like that. They looked pretty comfortable for most of the time, really didn't concede any chances, if at all. SofaScore has Osasuna on 0.4 XG with one big chance, 4 total shots for the entire game. They were offsides a lot. I think everyone was very comfortable in a game that, again, could have been pretty difficult, not only because of not having a lot of rest, but having to be without Rafinha and Pau Cubarsí as well. It could have been difficult. Or Pau Cubarsí. I have not been emphasizing that in the correct way, and I apologize. But overall, not a terrible way to go about it in a game that, again, could have been problematic. Now, it's unfortunate. We did walk out with a Dani Olmo injury that apparently, as of right now, I believe is not serious, or signs are showing it to not be serious. What that means, I don't necessarily know, because we can never really know for now. Sometimes we see, under Xavi, it was happening a lot, where there would be somebody out for this long, that would get extended to this long, and then this long, and then this long, and even further. But for the most part, I think he'll be okay, which is a good thing moving forward. I thought he was pretty good today, and it's unfortunate that he ended up going out. I think that threw the team dynamic off a little bit, where we were struggling a little bit to create in the final third. And that could be a little problematic, but I think these guys, especially without Rafinha and then without Dani Olmo, were able to figure out a way to create and make good opportunities and fight through a game that's not that comfortable for them, which is really good for moving forward, because they're going to be really uncomfortable against better teams they play, especially against teams that they're going to have to face, a lot in a row, where players might not be in the best form. And so that's good, right? We're going to get into the ratings, though, right now, where I think Chesney was pretty comfortable. There was a couple times where he dribbled through like 2 or 3 players, and I was like, what the hell is going on? I'm uncomfortable, but it worked out. He was comfortable enough to help the team win. And he didn't make a single save, I don't think, but he didn't really need to. They didn't really have any chances, and they were offside when he wasn't. I think he was good on the ball. 7, I think, is incredibly fair for a job like that, where you're not really called into action at all. I think that's very fair. The back line, very, very solid overall. Again, in a game that's uncomfortable. I think Balde was really good. He, especially going forward, when he had energy, he seemed to get a little gas in like the 65th minute, where he wasn't bombing down the wing as much and wasn't threatening nearly as much in the second half, which, it is what it is. But I think he was a lot better with putting that ball into a very good area and finding a man in a very healthy way. Obviously got the first assist for Ferran Torres' goal, and very deservedly so, because he basically served it to him on a platter. He was like, here, do this. It'll be perfect for you. And it was. He handled it very well. And I think it helped the whole team moving forward as well. I think an 8 is probably easily fair. He's becoming really one of the best fullbacks in the world right now, and I'm very comfortable with that. Makes me a lot more comfortable with not signing someone who's strictly a left back for next season, though I think Barcelona is looking to sign some sort of guy who can play on both sides, like in Vanderson or Ratiu or guys like that. The center backs, I think, were solid. I think Inigo Martinez did exactly what we expected him to do. 7, I think, is very fair. Eric Garcia, same thing, where he's called up for a big opportunity here, where you'd expect Cubarsí to play instead of him. I think Eric Garcia was pretty safe. It wasn't that bad, wasn't that great, but was comfortable when we needed him to be. Was able to recover where we needed him to be, and not a ton of chances came out for Osasuna because of it. That's a great thing too, where Barcelona wasn't set up well. Osasuna can be very difficult. Obviously, we lost 4-2 to them earlier this season. Walk away with a 3-0 win with a different center back in the mid in the back line, and then a weird midfield setup, not having Casado, and then not having your main forwards and Rafinha, who does so much defensively. Big dub. Good job from Eric Garcia. I'll give him a 7.5. And I think Koundé was good as well. I'm going to give him a 7.5 as well for a pretty average job for Koundé. That doesn't really mean anything. He's played so much football. I think he was very, very solid. And now to the midfield. Frankie de Jong came off earlier than I would have liked, which was weird because I thought Frankie was immaculate in that first half. But apparently it was just because they wanted to manage his minutes. He played the full every minute for the Netherlands, I believe. And because of that, they wanted to give him a break. Very fair, but I thought he was really good while he was on the pitch. I'm going to give him an 8. I just think he was very important, very healthy for this team. This new Frankie de Jong is incredible at this game, guys, and I love to see it. Same story for Pedri, though. Pedri was on fire, man. I thought he was incredible for this team. I think he always is, and I think he looks better today than he did in the last Barca match and in the last or the first match for Spain, where he was a little off of it. I think today he looked on it again. I would have liked him to play less than 88 minutes, but he looked great. He looks better. So maybe he'll rest against Girona on Sunday. I feel like that's the game to rest if you're going to rest. Obviously, with the Atleti match, they've got to rest some of the guys. Pedri is probably not going to play, I would hope, at least the full 90 of that match, and hopefully that's what happens. Dani Olmo, I thought he was good, right? That penalty is going to be in the minds of a lot of Madrid fans for whatever reason. It is what it is, though. That he broke the rule similar in a way to Julian Alvarez's penalty, not getting chalked off because he hit it twice. This was chalked off because the guy who got to it first was on Osasuna, and the reason he got to it first because he was in the box when you weren't supposed to be. He broke the rule, led to a retake, led to Dani Olmo hitting a much better penalty, and ended up scoring that. It is what it is, though. I understand why people would be upset of it, but again, the way the rules are written, the same way that Julian Alvarez penalty didn't stand, this one didn't. The save didn't stand either, and it is what it is. Gavi, I thought Gavi wasn't great in the first half, where I don't love him in that number 10 spot or that further forward midfield spot. I don't think he's most comfortable there. I don't think that's where he thrives. I think he's been good as an attacker. He looked good under Xavi as that left winger situation thing. But I just don't feel it right now. And I don't think that's where he excels. And I think we saw that a lot when Pedri came off, or specifically when Frankie de Jong came off and Gavi played deeper. I thought Gavi looked really good in the second half. He was being more comfortable on the ball than everybody else. And then even when Pedri went off, he was turning through pressure into space well and handling it well for a team that hasn't seen him do that since before his injury. And Gavi looked... It's promising to see this Gavi, and I'm really, really glad we are, especially without Casado. It's going to be a difficult little season for our number 8s and our number 6. So having Gavi to support that, invaluable, man. Invaluable. I think he was really solid today, 7.5 for him. And moving to the forwards, I think Ferran Torres was good. He scored it was an easy finish, but I think he was good. He gets into a lot of good spaces, gets a lot of good opportunities, missed a couple today, but I don't think these were definitely not his worst finishes that I've seen at the very least. But again, still missed some chances, still not perfect. I think probably a 7 is fair, considering he did score, but considering that we could have asked for more from him. I think he's a good option to have at the very least. And then Lamine Yamal, I think he low-key had a great game. I'm going to give my man of the match probably to Lamine. It would be between Lamine and Pedri. I think they were both really good, but Lamine was low-key dirty today, robbed of a couple assists by guys not finishing chances. I'm looking at you, Pau Victor. But overall, great game for Lamine. Took his man on well, found space, and did what he had to do. Didn't walk out with any goals or assists, but that's not necessarily what matters, and I think an 8.5, again, is fair. You could even argue probably more. I think Fermin, Hansi, did pretty well with the subs, bringing on Fermin for Dani Olmo immediately. I think Fermin looked pretty good. Not the greatest, but I think he looked pretty good in a game where he wasn't necessarily prepared. Looked a lot more comfortable in the second half, though, with that incredible ball to Lewandowski. Oh, my God, it was dirty. Just incredible pass from him, and I'm just glad that he got some minutes. And if Dani Olmo was out for a little while, it's not the worst time to do it, because I think Pablo Torre looked pretty good as well. He came on at halftime for Frankie, and I'm glad Pablo got some minutes. I think we were hoping to see Ansu. It didn't happen today. I don't know if we ever will see Ansu Fati, guys. I think we keep asking for it, and this next week would be when we see it. They're playing so much football in a very short period of time. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you think, guys. But I think Lewandowski was good today. I think we saw some energy from the guy, which is cool to think of Lewandowski as a super sub. But yeah, I thought he was good. He scored an incredible diving header. Great header, better ball from Fermin, but great header. Easily deserves a 7. And I think all these guys easily deserve a 7, 7.5. They were all pretty solid. Gerard Martin and Pau Victor came on. Martin was fine. Pau Victor missed a couple chances. Again, cost Lamine probably a pretty easy assist. Not his best work. Unfortunate for a guy who doesn't get a lot of minutes. You want them to really be clinical in those few minutes they get so that they get more. It wasn't that today. We'll see what happens moving forward, though. I think this was a really good response for a team that could have had it. I think if a run of games go really badly for this team, it could really flip-flop the head of this season, the whole season on its head. But being able to turn in this Osasuna performance in a tough situation and do it for the team member that we lost a few weeks ago, I think this is really good, and it's a really good signal for the future and for the next few games coming up. So we'll see what happens. Again, Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting me and supporting the channel. And I'll see all you guys on Sunday on Big Up for the next watch along. So see you all later. Peace.